At the end of August 1942, German army groups encircled Stalingrad and prepared for the final offensive on the city. Alexander Vasilevsky, chief of the General Staff, phoned Stalin and asked about the possibility of evacuating civilians and industry from the city. Stalin responded that doing so would mean surrendering the city, and he did not allow it. Demoralized by the German advance and the superiority of their weaponry, many Soviet soldiers were fleeing the front lines and deserting. As a result, Stalin issued Order Number 227, not one step back, which would completely change the face of the war. This directive was a response to the intense and brutal fighting on the Eastern Front during World War II, particularly during the Battle of Stalingrad. Order 227 reflected Stalin's determination to halt the German advance at all costs and to instill discipline within the Soviet military. The key points of Order 227 were as follows. Not one step back. The order emphasized that Soviet soldiers were expected to hold their ground and defend their positions at all costs. Retreat was strictly forbidden, and commanders were instructed to use all available means, including lethal force, to prevent any unauthorized withdrawals. Punishment for cowardice and retreat. The order introduced severe penalties for those deemed guilty of cowardice or attempting to retreat without orders. Penal battalions were established, where soldiers found guilty of such offenses were sent to serve in dangerous and often suicidal missions. Blocking detachments. Order 227 established blocking detachments at the rear of Soviet units. These units were responsible for preventing unauthorized retreats, and they had the authority to shoot any soldier attempting to withdraw without permission. In the first 2 to 3 months, more than 1,000 Soviet soldiers were executed, and over 24,000 were sent to the disciplinary battalion. Despite the strict measures, the order also acknowledged and recognized the valor and heroism of soldiers and commanders who distinguished themselves in battle. Order 227 was a reflection of the desperate circumstances faced by the Soviet Union during the war and the need to maintain discipline and cohesion in the face of intense German offensives. While it played a role in instilling discipline, it also led to a high human cost, as many soldiers faced extreme conditions and brutal consequences for perceived failures. The total of Red Army personnel sentenced by courts-martial was 994,300, with 422,700 assigned to penal battalions and 436,600 imprisoned after sentencing. Not included are 212,400 deserters, who were not found and escaped the custody of the military districts. From the Stalingrad front, 15,149 soldiers were picked by the security forces for desertion from the front line between August 1, 1942 and October 15, 1942. Among them, 244 soldiers were arrested, 278 were executed, 218 were assigned to penal companies, 42 to penal battalion, and 14,800 were returned to their units. The situation on the front was critical for the Soviet army, and the population was losing confidence in the military. Nevertheless, Stalin was not ready to give up the fight. Order 227 helped motivate and boost the morale of the army and the population. Essentially, anyone who could take care of themselves should participate in the defense of the motherland: women, elderly, children. This determination not to surrender gave Stalin enough time to revitalize the Soviet Union's armament industry, turning the tide of the war in his favor, and it resulted in the war not ending in the Soviet Union but in Berlin, with the Soviet flag flying over the Nazi capital. Share your thoughts by leaving a comment, subscribe, and like for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.